What's up, traders? Welcome back to this market outlook slash forecast. I'm going to be telling you guys what levels I'm looking at for this week and what areas I'm expecting the markets to react from. We're going to be covering NQ, S&P, and we're going to be covering a little bit of the Forex pairs here. Right now, we are on Forex Factory, and this week's looks like it's a less eventful week than it was last week. Main thing we're going to be paying attention to this week is really PPI, and then if you're trading the Australian, then you have unemployment change and their unemployment rate coming out, but that's going to be coming out during their Asia session. So for those of you trading Asia session during that time, be careful, but I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of you. Main thing we're going to be focusing on is PPI for this week, and the pound also at 2 a.m. has GDP. So that is something that's important as well. But like I said, guys, PPI is going to be the main big volatile price action of this week. Okay. So pretty dry week when it comes to the news. Let's get straight into the price action here. We're going to go to the Nasdaq first. And we're going to cover the Nasdaq here on this latest contract. So main thing I'm going to be paying attention to on the Nasdaq, guys, is going to be really easy. Starting out this week is these highs right here. So we have this initial high. And as you can see, last week, we ended up forming equal highs here. Let me go down to a lower time frame so you guys can see. Boom, right? We have that wick. So once this market opens, I don't know if we're going to gap higher, gap lower. I'm hoping that we maintain these highs, right? I'm hoping we don't get a gap up here, hopefully, because that would just invalidate that type of bias that I'm looking for. But in the perfect scenario, let's say the market opens and then we just sit right here. These are going to be the main areas that I am going to be targeting for this week, especially early on this week. Definitely this high, and that's forming these equal highs. After that, you can see we have weekly highs right above us on the weekly time frame. We have this high, and then we have that high right there. So you guys can see how these highs are kind of stacked near each other. This is a very nice area for the market to take out. This is nice trend line liquidity for the market to take out. And this is going to be the main magnet of price early on, especially since we're still maintaining this bullish move towards the upside. As you guys can see, we're respecting this bullish imbalance here as we tapped into it, and we're leaving liquidity underneath us. We're not coming lower. We're leaving these lows. We even did that here the previous day where we're leaving a lot of liquidity underneath us as we're going higher. So my expectation and really what I want to see at the start of this week is drives towards the upside, sweeping all of these highs, and then we start to distribute, taking out all the leftover liquidity underneath us. Okay, that would be the highest probability thing that I am looking for, a reaction at these highs and for us to come lower, especially with this large push towards the upside. Still feel like we can come lower and rebalance some of this price before we actually get some nice drives. But just look at all of these highs, guys, right? This is kind of just obvious that this is going to be the main driver of price. What I would also love to see as well is a manipulation lower. If market open, let's say market opens on Monday and we can get a manipulation of these lows and then we get this drive higher to get this move lower, that'll be even better. If we can catch that initial move towards the upside, because that is going to be a high probability play since we do have this magnet up here. Okay. So initially starting in this week, the best thing I do want to see is a manipulation lower for us to go higher, but just looking at how the market's been moving, guys, we might just pump up here. So that's why initially I said I want to see a pump up here with a nice distribution. I want to see some sellers coming in and we can take shorts, take a reversal up here to target the liquidity left over underneath. All right. So NAS looks pretty simple, looks pretty clean. It really depends on what type of news comes out economically this week. If we have some, hopefully not. We don't have any crazy tweets or anything coming out. But yeah, pretty simple. Those are the areas that I'm looking for here on NAS, and it's really going to be the same thing on the S&P. As you guys know, they are correlated. So I do believe we did sweep this low here. So we do have a nice SMT at these lows, but this low is still going to be an area right here. And then we still have our data highs here on ES. So we do have a slight divergence here as well. See, here's our weekly highs right there. Okay, there we go. These are daily highs. Okay. Now I want to see what highs are matching. Okay, so this is the weekly high right here. Wednesday, off Monday. Nah, this is it right here. Okay. Okay, it looks like we're good. Yeah. Okay. So now we still have all these highs resting on both of this. So those are the areas that I'm going to be looking at here for NQ. It's going to be the same thing for ES. We're going to use ES for potential divergence, and if ES ends up manipulating first, we will expect NQ to be stronger and vice versa. Okay. So moving on here, let's go to the DXY here. Let's cover a little bit on these pairs and these currencies. So what I did see here on DXY, remember I told you guys we're getting this accumulation here. Got this down move here towards the downside, upside, down move, upside, down move. So initially our leg is from this low, this high to this low, and then we transferred that from this low here to, not sure why it has two of them, to that high, right? So you guys can see the progression: high, low, high, low, high, low, high. So we closed above this, we broke this high. So now we have this bullish leg towards the upside. On the downside, we were, on the lower time frame, we were tracking this latest leg right here from this low all the way up here. This was the leg that we were tracking just by the fibs, you guys can see. And we had an initial reaction around the pocket, the 70 and the 81. That initial move, and look, we're breaking this low. So what does that mean? That is a break in order flow. So now that we have a break in order flow, I'm going to expect the market to rebalance the leg now. And what is our leg? Our leg is from this low to this high. You guys can see we already have the fibs drawn out. Let me adjust it to the actual peak. Boom. So now we're going to expect the market to reverse some more towards the downside. We'll come lower. And this is the first area that we're going to be focused on. We're going to be focused on this area first. And as we come into this, we might see the market start accumulating, and we might get our spring happening inside of this pocket. So we could see exactly what you're seeing right here on the higher time frame, but on a lower time frame. And this is exactly what you want to see. You want to see this accumulation pattern right here on this same exact lower time frame. We could also get a quick tap, a quick V-shaped recovery, and then we'll start seeing reaccumulations as well. That's how you know if the market is actually going to take away from here, is after we do tap and we mitigate, we want to see reaccumulations, right? Reaccumulations towards the upside and seeing buyers actually come into this market. Okay. So DXY, this is going to be your pocket. All right. From the 50% here all the way down to the 80%. This is where we're going to be expecting buys from on this market. If we're going to go higher, this is where it's going to happen. Okay, if we're going to reach up here, it has to happen here. All right, if we see the market slowly burn towards the downside and we break this, most likely this is going to just be a redistribution, and we could expand a little bit lower before we see another up leg. So this is a nice spring. We want to see if the market will hold this and push higher. All right, that's what we're looking for on DXY. So expect some more lower moves towards the downside. Do not expect this to just take off today. Well, not today, but tomorrow or even this week. This could take a time, and we could really accumulate here before we go anywhere. All right, with that being said, look at the opposite ends on the euro dollar. So on the euro dollar, we actually failed to break this low. So we're still inside of this range. We're not showing a major sign of weakness. We did show a minor sign of weakness here, but this would have been nice to really fully exit and close underneath this range and then come back. That's just something I'm mentioning, but we do have liquidity underneath us, which is supporting us if this market wants to come lower. But you guys see that on the euro dollar, this is literally the exact same price action that we had on DXY, but just flipped. We have this large UTAD right here for our distribution. It's a large manipulation, and we drew out our fibs. We already have this marked out, and we have basically the same thing that we're looking for. We want to see how Euro USD is going to act inside of this. You want to see a distribution if we are going to be coming lower. Okay. Main thing here, if you see a distribution, we come lower and then you see the market actually accumulate, because this right here is an accumulation. It's an ugly accumulation, but it is an accumulation. So buyers did get into the market here. Now we're going to have a little tug of war here. So we could see a distribution here. Now, if we see a distribution and you see this distribution gets invalidated, most likely we're going to break this high and we're going to continue, because this is going to start another bullish order flow. So we do not want to see a distribution get invalidated here. If you do, understand that you are entering into a bullish order flow, and most likely we might push higher and break that high. That's the first sign that you want to look for. All right. Now, if you just get a distribution here and you see the market is actually holding it, then most likely we could push lower and continue this larger play here, because on the higher time frame, we do have this huge leg. All right. We have from this low all the way up here, and look at this major reaccumulation here, and look at this major move towards the upside that still has not been rebalanced from this low. Let me move that over. From this low all the way up here, we still have not rebalanced majority of this leg. So we could see take profits getting taken here and sellers getting into the market just to take us lower to reaccumulate and go higher, just like that. Okay. It's going to take a while. Do not expect that to happen very fast, guys. All right. Patience is the thing here when it comes to these pairs. Now, GU is a little bit more interesting because GU is actually holding its order flow. So I would be more inclined to buy on GU than I would be on EU, guys. Okay. Just simply based off the fact that order flow and structure is still holding here very cleanly. So you guys can see on here that we're still maintaining this bullish leg on GU, and we traded back into our pocket, right? I have this here for a reason. So I hope you guys are paying attention to see how the market is reacting inside of these retracements into these pockets, that 71 and the 80 right here. Look at this clean reaction here, right? Look how the market is accumulating here. Look how we're turning over. We have this drive, next drive, last drive, and then here's the impulsive move taking out these highs, right? And we've left an imbalance showing that buyers are coming into this market. So what do we want to see, guys? Well, what we want to see here is a pullback, right? A pullback into this. So essentially, see this move right here. You want to see a pullback into this move and we go higher. I don't want to see us go underneath this low. All right. The next thing you could look for, the market will push higher and create sellers and invalidate these sellers. That's if we're in a very, very strong bullish momentum. And you'll see that if we start seeing very aggressive pushes towards the upside. But we could distribute from here, come into this area, and then reaccumulate to go higher. This is literally the best option that I would look for at the moment. But the main thing I want you guys to understand about GU right now is we are reaccumulating and we are still maintaining this bullish leg. And this is the best time to look for buys. Actually, this was the best time to look for buys. I did tell you guys that last week, looking for buys underneath these lows at the 80%. And if you guys were looking for buys there, kudos to you. You caught that initial move. And potentially you might have a nice swing opportunity to hold until this high. So the next way that you can get some type of move like that is if we do come and we come back lower, give you into a little bit more discount, you look for a potential entry down here, and then you could ride it up towards this high. Because essentially what we're going to be looking for here, guys, is for the market to just continue structure. If we have this low and then we have this high, we have this leg, the market is accumulating here. The most obvious thing to expect is more movements to make a new high and to create a new leg. So GU is really simple. I would really lock into GU if you are trading it this week and really pay attention to this area and look for those potential longs, okay? Especially since DXY does have a little bit to go and we could just push lower a little bit more into this pocket. So in order for DXY to push into this pocket, that's automatically going to cause EU to go higher and automatically going to cause GU to go higher. But let's compare the price action. Would we rather want to take EU higher and we know we have this large manipulation here, or would we rather take GU higher and the structure is already confirming longs, right? So that's essentially what I wanted to get out there. Okay, guys, let's get into the last couple of ones. So I remember I talked about GJ last week as well, and we were talking about that accumulation, that reaccumulation, and I told you guys that this was the line in the sand, meaning if the market went underneath this line, I was going to expect this to just continue shorting off. But you see that we respected it. And why is this important? Why was this even the line in the sand? Because this is what's creating our order flow. So we have an accumulation here, and then we have a reaccumulation here. So if we know buyers got into here, the market goes lower, we mitigate this area. That means this is where buyers got transferred to, or the last obvious footprint of buyers. So if this area gets invalidated, that means these buyers are not strong enough. But you see that this area did not get validated, right? We did not get invalidated, and now we're creating this large, strong move towards the upside. So we are in a bullish market cycle. Unless you were able to catch these longs in here, you're going to have to settle for the reaccumulations. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, GJ is not really good at giving proper reaccumulations. So I wouldn't buy this right here where it's at. Honestly, I would expect this to make a new high first. If you don't get some sort of retracement down into some of these imbalances, and then you look for a push higher, because we are going to take out this high. I am going to expect this to take out this high, but do not try to buy right here to take out when this high is like right here. Wait for us to take out this high first. Wait for the market to react. Maybe we'll get a small sell-off, and then you want to take the buy right here, right? Never buy right at the high. Never. Okay, because you are going to see some type of distribution, some type of orders being taken. Somebody's going to be selling their orders around here, and that's going to get you a pullback, and you don't want to be part of this pullback and get caught up in that price action. Okay, guys, so if you are trading GJ, wait for us to take out this high first. Wait for a distribution, wait for a pullback into this area, and then you can look for longs. Or if the market does bless you and we pull back initially first, that's even better. Now you have a clear target, which is going to be this high. All right. And last but not least, let's talk about gold here. This is the last area here. This was a demand zone that I told you guys about on gold. And simply what we're doing on gold here is we're just following what it's giving to us. So we talked about how this was the area that we want to go to react, and we did react inside this area. We gave a nice wick right here, and since then we've just been pushing higher. We have some bullish order flow. So what am I going to be looking for? We're just going to follow this bullish order flow until it invalidates. I'm already seeing the next area that I would expect this market to come into. So we mitigated this demand zone right here. We pushed off of it and we've made a new high. Well, where's our last manipulation? So looking at here on the higher time frame, our last manipulation is right here, this candle right here. So this is going to be the next area I would look for longs here on gold. So for those of you trading gold, and we do have inducement. So we have this nice low right here that we can take out. So I would look for a manipulation lower into these lows, look for a lower time frame entry, and to try to take this higher. It is crucial that you look for a lower time frame entry. I wouldn't set a limit order here simply based off the fact that we don't have a big footprint yet, and we don't have a large accumulation of buyers. Okay, we just have a reaction from this area. So meaning this is not being sustained by structure. It's really being sustained by just the current order flow of what the market is doing. So we're just kind of just pushing higher, just pushing higher. So no limit order here. I would wait for a confirmation entry on a lower time frame to continue this bullish order flow. Okay. So that's gold at the moment. And I'm pretty sure that is the last one that I wanted to cover. Let me know if you guys have any specific pairs that I don't cover or specific assets that I don't cover that you would like me to cover. Let me know that down in the comments. I'm really covering what the main basis of what I see people trade, and these are usually the ones. So if there's some other ones that you guys are interested in trading, let me know. And that's going to be my market analysis. Let me know your thoughts on DXY, on EU, on GU, on the Nasdaq. If you have some different analysis, let me know. I am interested, and we can talk about it, and we can compare and talk about what we see. Okay, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.